the EI Squared fellows and participants will have had the real-world experience in problem solving for the 21st century, which will complement and supplement in a very significant way what has been learned in the classroom as students have gone through the degree program requirements. So the EI Squared Fellow will have, in addition to the degree, the experience in working on problems and solving problems in a way that's appropriate for the 21st century, and so employers will really find that attractive. But it also will give the EI Squared Fellows the confidence that comes from having tackled undefined problems or poorly defined problems and having solved them successfully, because they know that they will be able to do that in the future. And so that's the kind of person that project leaders, that employers will be looking for. And so the EI Squared Fellow will be very different in that regard.
So the intent is to stimulate a systemic change that more seamlessly integrates education with workforce demand projections. To accomplish this, centers of excellence must effectuate to reflect a core focus on emerging trends and technologies within national and international markets. By extending Center of Excellence activities into career academy curricula, existing programs can be transformed to capitalize on the value of multidisciplined, project-based experiences that intentionally fill the seams between industry, higher education, and both secondary and primary education as well. With public-private partnerships, we can encapsulate the support required to sustain pathway experiences and incentivize progression from secondary to post-secondary education. In the end, students will be provided with a crystallized path to not only get the job, but to bring new innovation that expand upon current markets and fuel the workforce demands for generations to come.
You know, what I'm seeing is all the emerging trends in cyber and big data, cloud computing, collaboration capabilities. And I think, you know, if you look at those kind of trends, I would want students to be able to have experience in all of those and to evolve with those trends and see how to gain more skills in those areas. I also think, you know, since we're running a business here, that it's not just about the technology skills, but it's also about how do you wrap business models around those so that we can not only execute, but be profitable when we execute. So I tell this to my Lockheed Martin engineers, it's not just about the technology, it's about running a business. So I'm looking for students to be prepared to do both.
We're not very off from humanoids. Really taking a very hard look at evolution of many biological organisms and applying their best practice to world problems. Mm-hmm. And there's a number of scenarios. There's also the evolution of cybersecurity, the evolution of energy supply demand management, the evolution of healthcare. They all have great innovation opportunity, but with that innovation they need skills that can progress those areas.
Based on our economic situation, we're going to be forced to rely more on the industry, not just for innovation, but for efficiencies as well. And if we listen closely enough to what students are saying and what industry is doing, I think we're going to come up with some very solid solutions for a lot of the problems that are facing our educational system. I think that we really are ripe for change. The way that students have historically learned is changing. I think that it is a more project-based learning model, which is the way that industry operates right now. It's really not by specific disciplines. We're having to work across the board, and I think that our partnerships with industry are going to force us to do that. It's going to show us a new way of learning, a new way of teaching, and I think that students will embrace that. I think that the transition from education to careers is going to become more seamless if we take heed to what's happening.
You took a snapshot of what those work environments looked like 50 years ago. They look totally different than they do today. But if you go into most classrooms now and you take a snapshot, they would almost mirror what we saw 50 years ago. So the question is, what are we going to do to begin to change that culture and climate within the classrooms? When we can start, when we talk about college and career readiness, when we can start having the classroom mirror that of the workplace.
EI Squared, through the fact that it is a collaborative venture, Bowie State University, its major corporate partner Lockheed Martin, but with the Prince George's County Schools, the Prince George's County government, and other entities, is highlighting something that I think is increasingly important in this global society that we live in now, this global economy, and that is that a major feature is the need for collaboration as opposed to competition. And so by having these partners and affording our students the opportunity to work in a collaborative fashion with people who have different areas of expertise, different approaches to problem solving, to come up with the best approaches for the problems they're facing.